Yes, we're live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, all the listeners. Today, we are bringing an amazing topic. But first of all, welcome to all the listeners who are going to listen once again to this beautiful speaker that we have brought in. But today, I want to tell you to all the listeners, to any field, any business people, any normal people, this is for everyone because this is a topic which is all about how do we do consciously everything. And today, I have got the pleasure once again to invite Kaye Doran, who is no kind of stranger to all the listeners, but also to all the people who have listened to her in the past or who have followed her, because she is not just a spiritual mentor or coach that she talks comes from a background, but she has been doing all these things and helping people. And that's one of her strength, I guess, as well, being a woman, also consciously lots of decisions that we take as a human. So we are going to talk about how we are going to craft consciously and how are we going to make our future, which is all about how to create your future consciously. So welcome, Kay, to this beautiful episode. Once again, after where we left off yesterday, last time, I'm going to dwell into this topic, which is an emotional well-being topic related as well, because it connects to our emotion mind. And all it is about mindsets. So when you have subconscious mind, conscious mind, but let's understand the nitty-gritty, but also the basic fundamentals of what we are going to dwell into this topic. So welcome, Kay, to this
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you for having me back. It's wonderful to be here again. And I love this topic because really it is about, the business of life as well as the business of business.
Right.
And a lot of people will use the word manifest.
Uh-huh.
And I don't like using that word personally. The more that everyone gets to know me, they know that I will reframe language because words have power.
Mm.
And the thing is that we are, from the moment we come into this world, we are unconsciously manifesting, making, creating things to
Right.
happen from our subconscious false stories and beliefs. So the reason I like to use it and phrase it in terms of consciously crafting and creating
Mm-hmm.
is because you're an absolute participant. And people tend to attach the belief of manifestation to, oh, I just want to manifest some money or I want to manifest a new job. But it's about consciously crafting and creating
Right.
everything in your life,
Mm.
also from mindset, but
Mm-hmm.
emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
energetically, and physically in terms of the action and the choices and the perceptions that we bring to it. So to me, consciously crafting and creating our future really has a resonance of it that I am participating in this. And it's not just to create one thing, it
Correct.
is to create a life and a business very consciously rather than being ruled by the subconscious. So it's like putting ourselves in the driver's seat and really driving our own lives in all those layers.
Absolutely, very well said that. So as you can see, listeners, this is not. I love when there are three words, and I think I picked up when Kay said to me, "Look, this is amazing. This is what I want to. I can talk about." And I said, "Wow, beautiful," because three words. This is not just consciously crafting and then creating. So these three words, people might say it's quite simple. Well, how do I create? What do I create? What do I craft? What do I do by crafting, or how do I live consciously? And this is something, these are not just words, but these are very powerful, because what you said is normally people call themselves manifesting, and you call it differently, which is what we are going to understand and uncover the layers of it. So first of all, this is beautiful that what we have said is consciously one word, crafting another word, and then creating. But then it comes back to the future as well, which we have added on, which is amazing, okay, that I wanted to dwell on this. First of all, let's just dwell into this and tell me, how do we actually consciously live instead of manifesting? What you said before was perfect, because we manifest a lot of things on our day-to-day journey, in our day-to-day moments. We want this, we want that, we don't want that, we don't want this. We have got both layers. Now that's negative, positive, good, bad, whatever. But resonating is most important, right? So how do we make those conscious decisions for your own journey? Tell me something.
First thing is that we need to take responsibility
Right.
for what we're unconsciously bringing into our lives. And now that's people, relationships, finances, health and well-being, personally, professionally, and really taking a look at what is the quality? How successful am I, without judgment, in the area of finances? Do you know what I mean? Am I in lack? Do I always just have enough? So part of it is looking at these different areas of our life: relationships, health and well-being, spirituality, family, everything.
Yeah.
And seeing what physically is there or not there. Then also becoming conscious of the things that we say. And sometimes you need to get those that love you to help you, because so often people will be saying things.
Yeah.
And I do this in the coaching, and I go, right, you have just said 5 times such and such. No, I didn't. Yes, because we're not listening. The truth of what's sitting in the subconscious, those old patterns and stories and behaviors and false stories and beliefs, are like, I always just have enough. Do you know what I mean? So then we're always just having enough. So when more comes in, we unconsciously create some reason, something to come along to take the excess away. The same as, what are we saying about relationships? What are we saying about our professional lives?
Yeah, even including finances, as you said, because subconsciously we do a lot of things. But that's why we need to understand what is subconscious, and before we make those conscious, because there are certain patterns that you follow of your own. So
so we need to become the observers of our lives and our words and our feelings. So observers of the thoughts and feelings, etc., that we have, so that we can choose consciously to reframe it and to develop, going from a lack of worth to the fact that we are worthy. We are worthy of what I call rich, abundant lives. And I'm not just talking about finances. I'm talking about those quality relationships, the environment you choose to live in, who you surround yourself with, the beautiful things you surround you. Like, my house is decorated in such a way that everything is sending a message back to me of alignment, of a sense of peace, of beauty, do you know what I mean? It's like a living, people talk about, I call them power posters. People talk about them as, the manifestation boards.
Yeah.
Right? My whole house is like that. With images that create feelings, that create alignment, that feed my mindset in a positive way, colors and things that symbolically I really connect with.
So everything that is surrounded by us or surrounded around us, irrespective of whatever it is, it has got like a conscious resonation that we have to connect with consciously. Rather than thinking subconsciously, oh, that's a sofa, or that's a window, or that's a door. But that's there. But that's, as you said rightly, that, these words are not just words. You need to actually feel them and make them yours and look up, being an observer, which is amazing.
And remember, this is your life. So you don't listen to what someone else says you need. It's like, I'll have clients that go, well, I don't know what I want to create in the future. And I'll go, well, what makes you feel joyous? What makes you feel successful?
Correct.
Oh, the sunset, my family, my children. Okay, well, what does it feel like when you are with your children? And then you dig down deeper and you go, you've got all the ingredients of how you want your life to feel.
Right.
and what you are actually deeply connected to in terms of sort of your values, what's important to you.
Correct.
And then, you don't think about the how. You just create in thought and in feeling, etc., where it's coming from that heart intelligence or soul level, if you like, not from the minds of shoulds, or I'll be happy when.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're creating, because people will talk about the power of mindset selection, and that's just one component. But that's like, the wheels on the car aren't the car. They're just one component to it.
Yeah.
Get us anywhere, just a wheel. Do you know what I mean?
Beautiful. Yeah. No, I agree 100%. So that means every single thing around us or every single component, we got to be an observer, as you rightly pointed out. And this is where, do you think then this is where you first and foremost is become an observing, and then you can actually automatically or by consciously or subconsciously, does it happen? Certain things, once you become that aware of your own conscious mind. And do you think that the crafting or before crafting, when you create, like, so as you said, we are to create, consciously creating. So does the creation comes immediately after the consciousness that we have, or do we
Yes. So
have to exit the process?
the crafting is like taking a lump of clay and going, well, I want to turn it into this. So the crafting is that self-observation. And then it's like, well, what's the opposite of that?
Yeah.
Okay. So then I create powerful statements to rewire my brain.
Yes.
Right. Now, I haven't necessarily believed them, but the more I feed them, the more I build a belief in them. So it's about, okay, now I'm gonna consciously choose my thoughts now, because we have so much inner dialogue going on in thoughts and inner communication that is so negative, or I prefer to call it, it contracts us energetically, makes us smaller energetically. But you can start to override that by choosing, I am worthy, I am abundant right now, and whatever that means. And then allowing the images that come up, because we all relate to different symbols, right? We all have our own sort of internal dialogue and imagery that resonates. So the more you align with that and you close your eyes and you let yourself feel it, so you put yourself into that environment.
Right.
Okay. So say, for example, and it could be something within your business, you pick like a mini scene. So maybe you're hiring people, and it's, these people come in and they've got smiles on their faces, and there's connection and collaboration. And so you create the trailer that, all the best bits, so that you can start to feel the reality of that. Right.
Yes.
So a team working well together, whatever it might be. And in that, then, it increases productivity. So then it increases finances. You might put in there that you've got time, to be present then with your family. But so you're saying all the statements, right? You're aligning with that, but then you're creating the feeling as you bring the imagery in.
Yeah.
And the more you do that, the more you feel that, there will be a moment where it's absolutely there. I'm just physically waiting to catch up to it. And I don't need to know how. I let the unseen world work out the how. So it's like we are the architects, right? We have to get clear and defined in thought and feeling and imagery of what that life is like in that area. And what those relationships feel like, what the interactions feel like, what running my own business feels like according to my values as well. So I'm not betraying my values. So time with my family is really important. Time to my health and well-being is incredibly important. And removing the fear of time, because it actually doesn't exist. So the thoughts, the inner language changes, and we align to it, and like building that muscle. Like I didn't get fit the first time I went to the gym. My fitness strengthened the more I went to the gym or did my exercise, right? And then it's just like maintaining that level of fitness. So recognizing that you are creating this, you are the architect, and you are creating definite, clear, precise plans to give to the builder, the universe, if you like.
Yeah, so this is where I was about to ask you about the universe, because you are talking more in that I resonate, and correct me if I am wrong, the understanding that we are architect, and we are our universe in ourselves, and we are architect of our own. And so when we do that, it's so powerful. But how important it is for every human to actually understand this and actually act on it. Because more, as you said, most of the time people do subconsciously manifest, but they move most of the things they do subconsciously. They don't do consciously. So how important is it when it comes to a life journey of a human that to take this sort of understanding of your own, that you are an universe and you are the creator of your own, and you don't have to listen or depend on others, and all around you, even little things that are there, we may think they don't have life. For instance, the sofa that you sit, or the chair and the table and everything that is there, they still are something. They still are consciously, you are doing something with them. And that's very powerful that I felt, which is what I wanted to understand, and how important it is to actually do consciously rather than subconsciously in your experience and in your coachings, for when you listen to people and why they don't achieve certain things, why they are struggling with certain things, why they are having that mindset of I want this only and that only. How does
That's a really powerful question, and there are a couple of reasons why something like a goal doesn't create itself.
Correct. Yeah.
One, you might be actually creating a goal from the head, from the ego, that's built on shoulds and shouldn'ts that might have been beliefs fed to you that you picked up along the way while you were growing up.
Sure.
Right? When we turn our vision inwards, and when we do some certain practices, because they're daily things that we change and apply in our life that keep us connected to that. You know, there's a simple technique, putting the hand on the chest, you know, breathing in 4 breaths, and I connect words to it. A lot of the time it's love, compassion, understanding, and forgiveness. You know, holding that and those words, and really, it brings us instantly into the intelligence of the heart. Right. Which is where we feel with deep knowing the life we really feel called to have, but we've got all these beliefs wrapped around it and reasonings of why we can't, which are false, absolutely false, right? But they feel real, but they are false, which is why I don't just call them subconscious beliefs, because you're instilling it's a belief. Right. Subconscious false stories and false beliefs, because we're calling it out. And when we call it out, every time something comes out of our mouth or goes through our mind, we just call it out. That's false. That's not real. And then I choose to align with this. So if the goal is ego-based and fueled by a subconscious limiting false story and belief, it's not actually of your own. Right. So there's no energy to push through the comfort zone, right? And to be uncomfortable as you grow into, because this is what people need to understand. Energetically, we're growing into the resonance of the allowing of what we're creating and crafting, right? Because if we don't have it yet, we're not that person that allowed that yet energetically. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then the second thing is that you can't do this without unmasking those false stories and beliefs.
Yes, correct. Yeah. And that is something that we easily get dragged out or dragged down to that path where we don't understand what is false and what is real. And that's something that's why when you start creating or start crafting, we want to craft, Are we crafting on a mask to uncover your mask, or you have to craft with, with the mask? And
Yeah.
that's
And
something.
some people, because this is really important to understand, you have to grow into the allowing of that which you're crafting and creating, right?
Right, right.
Because there's no point feeling a lack of worth and then just sort of, that's why all that feeling has to come with it.
Right.
That's why certain beliefs, behaviors, responses that haven't served us need to be recognized and shifted. Right?
True.
So, and then people will attach a time frame on it. Oh, so it hasn't happened yet, so it's not happening. Well, I'll just give up.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So it's very powerful because, when we talk about manifest, when we talk about purpose of a human journey, when we talk about what do you want to achieve or what do you want opportunities wise, what you can do and what you can't do. But as a human, you got all those self-awareness if you want to. But basically, that's another interesting I wanted to ask you was like, versus self-awareness versus dependent on others, and then crafting your own, thinking that somebody has created a future, somebody has created a beautiful kind of, consciously they have done something. That's what we think, but we don't know how they have managed or what they have done it. But just because we have seen it, we want to do that accordingly, and we are just wanting to do that. But how do you do that is $1 million question for most of the people. In that regard, what would you say, like purpose of a human journey, creating your own future or creating for something for yourself, as you said before, rather than someone for someone, ultimately when you create for yourself, you do make that transition or awareness to automatically to your surroundings. But first and foremost, you want to have the mindset that you want to create for yourself rather than anyone else, or it resonates with you, that's why you are creating. So what's your take on that, basically?
Well, you are only creating for yourself. And then whatever is presented to you in your life, people, circumstances, is designed for your growth.
Right.
So when we understand that, and then go, okay, so give me the insight, and adversity will happen. So as we're getting closer to the reality of something that we've been consciously creating, there's a real discomfort that can happen because it's an absolute stretch, right?
Yeah.
So it's like having a double elastic band around us. One elastic band is pulling you back to the old and familiar, and the other elastic band is drawing you to the future. So when you get there, there's that, there will be the challenge, an adversity, something that you think gives you an out. I'll give you an example. So one of my clients doing my first program, the launching pad, she set her soul goal, right? Because sometimes I have ladies come in and they've set goals that aren't happening because they're the ego goal. So she set a soul goal and she thought it would be 12 months away, which was to have her own business premises. It happened within that 12-week period. It didn't happen a year down the track.
Right.
And sometimes when these things present themselves to us, that it might not feel like the right timing. It might not have a logic to it, right? Sometimes there's that big stretch, that big ask, and then it might look like something's not going to happen. So she rang me up and she said, oh, this isn't coming through, so maybe it's not meant to be. No, it's the universe saying, how much do you really want this? And are you prepared to get uncomfortable right now and break that old elastic band?
Right. Yeah.
That moment of surrender. Can I get out of my own way? And when you're adept at consciously crafting and creating your own future, you then learn to understand that terrain. So, okay, something adverse is happening. That's happening for a reason for me.
Right, right. So what effects does it happens when you are creating and crafting and consciously doing for yourself? How does it affect when you are around and surrounded by other humans who probably are also trying to do that? So I want to ask you these two beautiful questions that I had in my mind. Is how do you deal with relationships, because they are all entangled, and they want, each time expectations are there from each other in relationship. And then the other one is the business or the finance side of it, which is creates our emotional well-being. They both are emotional well-being kind of impact. When it comes to relationships, we always, suffer, struggle with emotions. Same thing with the business. We suffer, struggle with the emotions of the finance or growth of the business and sustainability and all of that. So let's dwell into the first question is about relationships. How do we consciously crafting and all that is one aspect of one human, but when in relationship you are living with someone, we are making that transition with someone. How does that, how do you maintain that, how do you manage that aspect when both are having the same kind of thing?
Well, hopefully you're both wanting to create
Yeah.
the same life.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of people get into relationships and they're not doing the negotiation. Where would you like to live? How do you see the fit? Where all these things that it's like, are we actually on the same track? Because love is not always enough, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And we've seen that, because the person you divorce is not the person you married.
Absolutely.
So, but the thing is, taking responsibility for your own emotional well-being and not projecting it onto somebody else. And all relationships are designed to mirror something back to us, right? So we only get reactive when we are reacting something old, one of those old memories that belong in the past that are playing out. So again, it's that learning to that self-observation, and we probably need support of a really good, coach or someone that understands that terrain. But it's a constant growth. You are not responsible also for how another person feels. This is why in consciously crafting and creating your life, your future, you need to have clear boundaries within relationships, within finances, within health and well-being, within all these areas. People usually talk about boundaries in regards to just a relationship, right?
True.
And allow other people and respect their journey of becoming.
Yes.
Right. So there are techniques and things to do. I've got on my website a process to defuse fears in 5 minutes. There are things to do to learn how to release emotion. But when you're projecting something out, you've got 3 fingers coming back at yourself. So again, it's that self-observation and what is being triggered in me. And if it's highly emotional and reactive, it's something old, and find those that can support you, that understand that, and respect that the universe exists within me. Therefore, I exist within the universe as well. Well, that means because I'm a soul. Let's say that ocean behind you, I might have used this analogy before. You can take one drop of water out, but it's still part of the whole ocean.
Absolutely.
So respecting that, we are connected all to each other at that deepest level.
Absolutely.
So what we do to others, we're doing to ourselves.
That's the challenge, isn't it? What do we do to others? And when we make those conscious kind of creating our future, we also include them, we also exclude them. Sometimes subconsciously we exclude them, sometimes consciously we include them. So how do we manage these kind of transitions that happens when we are creating this future for us or for
that it's a bit like we're all a note on the piano, right?
Okay.
One note on its own, every note sounds beautiful on its own. You
Mm.
put some together and they don't sound so good, and others, you've got this harmony.
Yeah.
So as we're growing, and it's a bit like the sound that we're going up the scale.
Right. Yeah.
So sometimes there'll be people in your life, if they're not doing a growth journey with you, that where it used to work and now it's no longer working.
Yeah.
And that's okay. The sound is no longer, but notice when I said the breathing technique, love, compassion, understanding, and forgiveness.
Yeah.
If we can develop that for ourselves first, we know then how to give that love, compassion, understanding, and forgiveness to others. So I've had a lot of people that I've been close to in life that suddenly there's a reason why they can't be with me. And that's okay. That's actually okay. Because then there are new people that come in with their note and it sounds beautiful with me. And then remembering everything and everyone serves a purpose. So I ran my business for 20 years full time. I was called from my inner knowing to downscale my business in my 40s and take my skill sets back out into the workforce. And I went into management, sales, team building, coaching, all the rest of it. But every role that I had, I was consciously crafting and creating. It's like, I don't want to do retail. I need this much money. I need a car with a fuel card. You know, like I created all of that. But the one thing that followed me, Shailesh, was bullying.
Right.
By teams, you know, by management, by upper management in one of them. And the key is not to go into being a victim. I had to look at that when I'd finally learnt all the lessons that I needed. My last role didn't have that. Okay. And I realized there was a pattern of being bullied all my life. And I had to have it to be incredibly severe and obvious, because otherwise it was so familiar to me, I didn't recognize it as bullying. Right. And then as I released that, I broke that pattern. So you see, I was unconsciously creating that to come with me, for me to learn. And then when I'd mastered that, life brought me back to my business full time.
Correct. Okay.
Impassioned to continue to help people to be able to tap into their own knowing, to be able to become the conscious crafters and creators of their own lives, to stop betraying their values and thinking that they're powerless when they in fact are powerful. But you got to learn how to become powerful, to remember that power is within you. It's within all of us.
So, you know, in businesses, we talked about relationships. That doesn't have to be only personal relationships, but business also is about relationships, because you have suppliers, customers, you have staff, you have, you know, all sorts of different people who are also humans attached to the business. And then that becomes similar kind of situation when you are into personal relationship. It's the same thing, because you still get emotional impact on your emotions. And so when it comes to that, in your experience being in the business arena, what would be you would say to those businesses who are doing, because business also is what you are doing is also a relationship with that business itself, whether it's a service, whether it's a product, whether it's anything. You may not see it as a product or as a service, but it exists. Just like, you know, you said it's surrounded by all these things, which you said in one room, you have got so many things, just like that. What sort of message you would like to say to all those businesses who are having this conscious mind to create and to craft? Basically, how do they change their subconscious transition into this conscious transition?
Such a powerful question. You know, because you've got customers, etc. And boy, I've had some nasty staff and
exactly
customers. You know, the thing that I always say is, I can't change that other person. But I'm going to be the person that at the end of each day that I feel proud to be. And when I feel really impacted by someone else's behaviors or words or actions, I've got processes in place, you know, to calm myself or to, and see, the thing is, we're all energetic beings.
Right.
And when we're interacting, it's like all these cords plugging in. So a lot of the time, our thoughts and our feelings aren't even our own, Shailesh. They could belong to somebody else.
Wow. That's
so
powerful.
I have a process. I like to add a bit of humor to it by saying to people, you know, if you don't learn how to disconnect other people's impactful energy, then, you know, you're climbing into bed with your suppliers and your boss, and do you know, that's a crowded bed. No wonder you can't sleep very well. Do you know what I mean? Or
I understand exactly.
You wake at 2 a.m. and it's because you're not with your own energy.
Yeah.
And we're not taught this as children. You know, like drink water for your well-being and sunblock so you don't burn in the sun. But what about the fact that we are energetic beings? So there are processes cutting cords, and you know, then you get to learn what your own energy feels like. Then you can also start to sense when someone else is encroaching. And I've had people that have, and you can do this in relationships, you know, sometimes you're in a happy mood and you come out and suddenly you're feeling agitated. When you cut the cords, sometimes that drops away and you go, oh, that's my partner's, or that's not mine. But if you haven't got that awareness and learning those practices, you carry around that agitation as though it's yours.
Absolutely. Very well said. I mean, this quite resonates. Like, you know, sometimes people don't realize that, is this my thought or is it whose thought? And is it something that I have to do, or is it something I have been told to do?
Is this my irritation, or does it actually belong to that situation?
Wow.
And also, you know, breath. You can be in a meeting. And I had not my manager, but a top manager that would come and deliberately try to antagonize me.
Right.
So I would do what I term the inner smile. And I would just push my energy out, because I thought, I'm playing this game by my rules. I'm not lowering myself and letting him do this to me, or let him see that it gets to me. So I would do the internal smile, and then I just smile and go, well, that's your choice to make. Yeah, that's fine. Then I could go out privately and vent my frustration just to get it off me. Do you know what I mean? So I was being the person that I was proud of in that moment. And I was looking at him going, you poor human being, having to be this nasty. But then I would be true to how I felt, and I would vent privately, but my intention was to vent and get it off me. Do you know what I mean?
I love this, because then you have released and you don't need to blame anyone, and you don't need to pass your negative to anyone.
You don't become the victim. I vented not to be a victim.
Absolutely.
If I didn't vent, then I would suppress. Now, you can only suppress so much energy inside of yourself before bang, it comes out. And then it usually comes out in the worst possible way, in the wrong circumstance. Do you know what I mean? And then you feel guilty and terrible. And so learn the practices and techniques of how to manage things, but not deny how you feel.
But also that gives like more, when we talk about positive energy and negative energy of humans surrounded by us, or when we do something that we like, and then that's intentions are good, everything is good, even though some others may not like it, but we are true to ourselves. And if we are true to ourselves, then that positive energy automatically resonates and turns into different things. But this is very good, very powerful to understand for all the business people who wants to, let out that if they are unhappy with some people, if they are unhappy with their dealings, or somebody has dealt with them incorrectly or inadvertent, whatever, they didn't resonate with that, then you don't have to be that much. You can still say, okay, that's fine. It's your choice. It's your opinion. That's okay. And it's okay to have that. But then you know at the bottom of your heart that you are not true to yourself, but you can let it out to yourself
Yeah.
rather than let it out in the
Yeah.
front with others.
And this, coming back to love, compassion, understanding, and forgiveness.
Uh-huh.
So here's how it plays out.
Mm.
I don't use the word or frame it as a positive and a negative anymore.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Okay. Because I just see
Mhm.
that it's all one.
Right.
Okay. It's
Okay.
a contraction or an expansion.
Wow.
So when someone like this upper manager man was being the way he was towards me, yes, I would vent it, but I just saw him as a wounded human being.
Right.
I thought of all the wounds, all the stuff that maybe has happened in his life that has framed him to become and express and act like that. So there's the love, compassion and understanding. Did I like it? No. Has it served me? Yes, because I chose to empower myself through that situation.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But I have that compassion to go, well, it's not pleasant, but what's happened in his life to make him like that?
Wow. Yeah. So we are coming on to that final round when we talked about so many things about how we can consciously think about yourself and then craft, but also create something for yourself, and then you can keep doing that. But this final thing I wanted to just make understand to myself, and hopefully some of the listeners would like to know as well, is, we all carry with, as you said in the interview as well before, we come with certain mindset, beliefs, baggages, and those are all subconscious things.
Yeah.
Then we have got the choice now to make those consciously, and you don't have to just carry on with that subconscious mind. It's a challenging situation because you didn't ask for it. It just came with you as a human, as a universe, but then you have recognized that you are also a universe in yourself, which means you have the power to change the dimensions and the directions of what you have been inherited with your baggage. I call it inherited because certain things that you don't know, but you just do it subconsciously because it has been given to us as a subconscious mind.
Yeah.
How did that transition for everyone, no matter which field, which relation, whatever you are in, if you have to create a better future that could literally, you won't regret it, or you would say that I have created this on my own and I don't have to depend on others, and could feel good about it and feel resonated about it, so that no matter whether somebody gives you appreciation or not, but you yourself should be appreciating of yourself. That's one thing. And that's the journey that human have. So how did that, with the baggage that you come with, the future that you want to create, and you are in the middle to create that future with that baggage and change that baggage into different, into a crafting and creating and consciously crafting and creating.
This is the journey that we chose.
Right.
Remember, we are soul and energy first.
Yes.
Okay, so the soul comes in to have this experience. And, as very young children, our inner and outer world is all one. Children will make believe, and, I have one of my grandsons every Monday, and he's 3. And the world that he lives in, it's still very connected, right?
Right.
And then more and more and more, our vision just gets turned outwardly.
Right.
And we sort of lose that contact with the inner energetic universal realm. And then the mastery is to also not so heavily attach ourselves to the things that reveal themselves to us.
Right.
Because once you become conscious of it, then you have the power of choice. So like when some inner dialogue comes up that for me is limiting and it's contracting, I just go, no. I've heard you. Like listening to somebody, this is what I align with. Do you know what I mean? That we can shift things very quickly,
Mm.
and it's about constant growth. So who I am in another 6 months is
Yes.
the new upgraded version of Kaye today.
Mm.
And
Also it gives an opportunity for, as you said before, that it gives you, when you let go things, you are welcoming new things. Otherwise, you won't experience the new things. And I
yeah,
think this is very important when it comes to growth, expansion, because growth is not where you are and you will be there forever. Growth is something
yeah.
that you move out of it and
And
keep moving, right?
science backs all this up now. You know,
Okay.
the latest fad word is the quantum, the quantum field, which is really energy. And that
Mhm.
when you start consciously
Mm.
crafting and creating and changing the lenses that you perceive the external world through,
Mm.
which is what we've also talked about,
Yeah.
then you're actually directing the energy in
Mm.
the quantum field.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
it's it's a game. It's
It's the
fun,
game. It's fun.
and all the other stuff is just like an illusionary sticky spider's web
Yeah.
that we believe in, and
Mm.
it gets us stuck. And
Right.
the truth is on the other side of those belief systems.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Very well said, Kay. This is amazing. And I think this is something that when you look at consciously crafting and creating, it's all about how do you create, craft, and consciously do so that your future is in your hands. And this is something what Kay has touched on this for all the listeners. As you can see, if you have definitely want to create your own future, then these are the things that you got to be aware of, because you do come with certain subconscious things and minds. But to create consciously, to craft consciously, and to create your own basically is something that you have to keep doing every single moment and let go things. Don't hang on to it, because there is always a new thing that's coming up.
Yeah.
And so with that, I think this is a beautiful conversation, Kay. Once again, amazing, amazing topic. I want to just give you this opportunity to create this future for all the listeners. How do they enter into this unknown territory, which is not very familiar for many people, because most of them, they want to create, but they don't know how, and they just go with their subconscious mind or beliefs that they are in. What's your message to that? How do we take this leaf out of their journey as a human, with, you said, energetic and thinking positively, but more, as you said, manifesting versus conscious creation? What's your message to the listeners?
In whatever way you're receiving information, so whether it's through a book or, with a coach or whatever it is, just apply it and see how it starts to work out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
Sure. Mm-hmm.
just, you've learned to become the version of yourself for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So give yourself some time to
Yeah.
change and grow into the next version. And, I am a firm believer in investing in yourself,
Uh-huh.
whether it's like coming to get coached by someone like me, or do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? But once you have the intention, the universe will actually show you the way.
Right, right. Beautiful. Yeah, as Kay mentioned, and to all the listeners, I want to reiterate the fact that you also are a universe in yourself. So what Kay said is very powerful, is that we all are universe in our own way. And we do get and receive everything every time to time without even asking. So I think, but we have got choices to create and make. And that's the conscious creation and conscious crafting of our journey, is what is all about. Because the universe has crafted so many things on its own and created so many things on its own. And as when we acknowledge and accept that we are also an universe, then everything becomes easy, because then we are aligning with the existence of the universe that we live in, or the base system that has been around us. So once again, very powerful message. Okay. Thank you so much for this wonderful conversation I had today with this beautiful, and I guess from a business people point of view, normal people who are not doing business, but that is still business when you do something, because every single time you do thing, whether you are working as a in a house or outside house, outdoor, indoor, anywhere, you still are a part of these human connections and human journey. So I guess, and she has touched you very much, very well, that, we do have to work with all humans. But then when we want to resonate with these humans, we can let go so many things that we don't have to get attached to. And I think that's a powerful message that, people get victim, become easy of attachments. So I think
Mm.
detachment is the answer. With that note, I once again thanks your final word, Kay, and we'll end here.
Every thought that you have and that you feed is developing new neural pathways in your brain. What branches of your tree are you growing?
Beautiful. With that, absolutely, wonderful, wonderful, amazing talk that I had with you, and I fully resonate lots of things. So I guess most of our listeners, and if they don't, and if you want to ask more and more uncover, please do write to us and write to Kay as well, and we will make sure that you get your feedback, and your feedback also is very important to us.
Yeah.
So with that, you can let us know what more topics that Kay can bring. As you can see, she's a coach, mentor, spiritual, energetic, you name it, and everything is there. So you can't go wrong with one human that has got so many things, which you also have, which is what she's talking today, consciously creating and crafting. Thank you so much, Kay.